No one expected Jamie Dornan to walk onto the red carpet with Dakota Johnson at his side, not after months of criticism, speculation, and heated debates online. The venue was packed with reporters, fans, and flashing cameras, yet when Jamie stepped out of the black SUV and Dakota followed just seconds later, the entire crowd fell into a stunned silence before exploding with noise. Paparazzi fought for angles, shouting their names like a storm of voices. And just like that, the internet ignited with the biggest shock of the night. Within minutes of the first photos hitting social media, opinions split violently. Some fans cheered, thrilled to see the iconic duo together again, praising their unmatched chemistry and ease in each other's presence. But others were furious, accusing Jamie of being insensitive, disrespectful, or deliberately stirring drama he didn't need. Comment sections filled with demanding questions. Why is Dakota there? Where is Amelia? What is Jamie trying to prove? Jamie, however, seemed completely unfazed by the noise around him. He walked the carpet with calm, almost defiant composure, shoulders squared, steps steady, as if he had already made peace with the backlash. He didn't rush or avoid cameras, he held his ground, glancing occasionally at Dakota to ensure she stayed comfortable. And Dakota, though smiling politely, clearly felt the weight of every stare and flash. Reporters shouted their questions from every corner, their voices overlapping in a chaotic mess. Jamie, why bring Dakota tonight? Dakota, are you two working together again? Is this a message to critics? Neither of them answered, choosing silence over fueling speculation. But their silence only made the moment more explosive. In one viral clip, Dakota appeared slightly tense as she adjusted her dress, glancing nervously at the crowd. Jamie leaned closer for just a second and said something softly to her, his voice drowned out by the noise. The moment lasted barely 3 seconds, but fans dissected it instantly, zooming in, enhancing audio, analyzing body language. Everyone wanted to know what he said that made Dakota's eyes widen in surprise. A separate fan recording finally provided the answer, or at least part of it. As the camera zoomed in from behind a barrier, Jamie's voice became clearer. He leaned toward Dakota and whispered, "I'm not hiding anymore." Dakota froze for a moment, clearly startled, before giving a faint, uncertain smile. And then the clip ended right there, cutting off whatever came after. That sentence sent shockwaves through the internet. What wasn't he hiding? Why say it now, in public, on a red carpet filled with reporters hungry for drama? Was Jamie talking about their friendship, their partnership, a project, or something deeper? No one knew, and the mystery only fueled more speculation. As Jamie guided Dakota down the carpet, he placed a steadying hand on her back, subtle, reassuring, but intimate enough for fans to notice. Some interpreted it as support, others as defiance, and a few even suggested it was a message to critics who had tried to tear them apart over the years. Meanwhile, Dakota tried to maintain her composure, but the pressure was clear in the tightness around her smile and the way she kept her hands clasped. Inside the event, photographers captured a moment that quickly became one of the night's most circulated images. Dakota stood slightly behind Jamie, unsure of where to move next, and Jamie extended a hand backward without looking, silently signaling her to follow him. The gesture was natural, instinctive, and heartbreakingly familiar. It was the kind of unspoken communication only two people who trust each other deeply could share. Fans erupted again, each group clinging to their own version of the truth. Supporters claimed it proved Jamie respected Dakota immensely and wanted her by his side despite criticism. Critics insisted he was being reckless, insensitive, or intentionally provocative. And in every discussion, Amelia Warner's name appeared, despite her having nothing to do with the night at all. As the event continued, Jamie remained steady, composed, and anchored in a decision he seemed confident about. Dakota, though quieter, stayed close enough to him that the symbolism couldn't be ignored. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't coincidence. Jamie had brought her there deliberately, fully aware of the storm it would create. And for the first time that night, as they entered the hall and the doors closed behind them, one truth became undeniable. Jamie Dornan wasn't just attending an event with Dakota Johnson. He was taking a stand, one that the world wasn't ready to understand yet. When the doors closed behind them and the noise of the red carpet finally faded, everything shifted. Jamie and Dakota were no longer performing for flashing cameras. They were just two people standing in a hallway filled with warm lights and muffled music. Dakota exhaled shakily, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear as she leaned against the wall. "Jamie, what did you mean out there?" she whispered, still rattled by the chaos outside. Jamie hesitated before answering, his eyes fixed on the carpet instead of her. He wasn't nervous. He was choosing his words carefully, fully aware of how much weight they carried. "I meant what I said," he replied softly. "I'm not hiding anymore. Hiding you. Hiding our friendship. Hiding how much support you've given me all these years." Dakota blinked, startled by the sincerity in his voice. Their conversation didn't stay private for long. A staff member who overheard only fragments leaked it later, igniting another round of online speculation. People obsessed over each word, analyzing tone, context, and meaning as if decoding a secret message. Some claimed Jamie was publicly declaring something deeper. Others saw a man defending someone he cared about. But no one had the full story, not yet. Inside the event, Jamie remained incredibly protective. Whenever photographers approached too aggressively, he subtly positioned himself between Dakota and the flash. At crowded tables, he checked in with her, making sure she wasn't overwhelmed. Even when speaking to industry leaders, he glanced toward her occasionally, ensuring she felt anchored in a room filled with judgmental eyes. It wasn't romantic, it was loyalty in its purest form. The turning point came during a quiet moment backstage. Dakota confessed she had hesitated to attend because she feared being painted as the villain again. "Every time I show up beside you, someone thinks it means something it doesn't," she admitted. Her voice wasn't angry, just tired, worn down by years of rumors linking her to situations she had never caused. Jamie listened with a seriousness that softened his posture. That was when Jamie finally revealed the deeper reason he brought her. He explained that people had twisted their relationship into drama for too long, using Dakota as a scapegoat whenever his personal life made headlines. "You didn't deserve any of that," he said. "And I'm done letting the narrative control our lives." Dakota stared at him, stunned, because no one had ever said those words out loud before. Another witness later confirmed that Jamie's voice cracked when he continued. He told Dakota that during one of the darkest periods of his life, she was one of the few people who checked in without judgment. She didn't demand answers or feed rumors, she simply cared. "You showed up for me," he said. "So I'm showing up for you. In public, without fear." His words weren't meant for microphones, but they echoed far beyond that backstage room. When they re-emerged for the main ceremony, everything about Jamie's presence had changed. He stood taller, more grounded, as if finally stepping into a truth he'd been avoiding. Dakota, reassured by his honesty, walked beside him with a calmer, steadier expression. Together, they moved through the crowd not as a scandal waiting to happen but as two people reclaiming a narrative that had been stolen from them. As the night progressed, clips inside the event leaked slowly online. One showed Jamie giving a heartfelt speech and publicly acknowledging Dakota for her support throughout their careers. Another captured Dakota subtly squeezing Jamie's hand under the table when he became emotional. A third showed Jamie redirecting a reporter who tried to bait Dakota with a provocative question, firmly shutting down the attempt without hesitation. When the event ended and they stepped outside, reporters swarmed again, but something had changed. Jamie didn't flinch. He stood confidently beside Dakota, answering questions directly and refusing to let the media twist their presence into scandal. He clarified that Dakota's appearance was tied to a joint project they were developing, one he refused to let her face alone. "She has every right to be here," he said firmly. "And I won't let noise dictate who I walk with." Those words traveled around the world in minutes. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from scandal to strength. Fans who had doubted him reconsidered, praising the loyalty and integrity behind his decision. Even critics softened when the truth surfaced. Jamie wasn't bringing Dakota to provoke drama. He was bringing her because she had stood by him in unseen moments, and he refused to let anyone smear her anymore. By the time the night ended, one thing was clear to everyone watching. Jamie Dornan didn't bring Dakota Johnson to major events for attention. He did it because he owed her honesty, protection, and respect. And he was finally brave enough to show it to the world.